I need to tell you something, and I need you to sit still long enough to really hear me. That thing you keep chasing, the money, the promotion, the house, the body, the validation, the applause, the relationship you think will finally complete you, it is not going to give you what you think it will. My name is Evelyn Mae Carter. I am 102 years old, and I spent most of my life believing that once I secured enough, I would finally feel secure. Once I achieved enough, I would finally feel valuable. Once people respected me, I would finally respect myself. I was wrong. And I don't want you to spend 70 years learning what I learned at 90. So sit with me for a few minutes. Let an old woman tell you the truth. We all do this thing. We say, I'll rest when, I'll feel good when, I'll slow down when, I'll be happy when the children are grown, when the bills are paid, when the body looks better, when people finally see us. I said it too, my whole life. I grew up in a small wooden house with thin walls and a leaky roof. My mother washed other people's clothes. My father worked fields until his back bent like an old tree. I remember watching how people spoke to them, not cruel, but small, like they didn't matter, and something in me decided early I will not be small. So I worked. I worked harder than anyone around me. I became dependable, responsible, impressive. I kept everything together. I became the strong one. But here's what nobody tells you about being the strong one. You can become so busy holding everything up that you never learn how to simply sit down. By the time I was in my 40s, people admired me. By my 50s, they relied on me. By my 60s, they called me wise. And inside, I was still trying to prove I deserved to exist. That's the part nobody sees. You can build a whole life on top of insecurity. You can become successful and still feel unfinished. You can be admired and still feel invisible. Let me tell you about something I'm not proud of. My daughter once asked me to come to her school recital. I told her I would try. I didn't go. There was always something more important, a responsibility, an obligation, a crisis. When I got home that night, she was asleep, still in her little dress, shoes half off, makeup smudged, waiting. I stood there in that doorway and told myself I was doing all of this for her, providing, building stability. But children don't measure love in provision, they measure it in presence. That realization took me decades. I provided, but I was often somewhere else in my mind. And you don't get those years back. You don't get do-overs on childhood. That's the cost of chasing someday. Now, let me tell you what really changed me. When I was 74, I lost my younger sister. Not suddenly, slowly. And toward the end, she said something that pierced me. She said, Evelyn, I wish I had let myself enjoy it more. Enjoy what? Just being alive. She had done everything right.
saved money, raised her children, took care of everyone, but she was always waiting for things to calm down, for stress to ease, for life to settle. Life never settles. It shifts, it demands, it stretches you. And if you keep postponing peace until conditions improve, you will postpone it forever. I am 102 now, and I can tell you this with certainty. There is no future version of you that is going to finally feel complete. That feeling does not live in the next achievement, it lives in acceptance. The people I know who are still restless at 80, 90, they are still measuring themselves, still comparing, still keeping score. But the ones who are peaceful, they stop trying to win. They stop trying to prove. They started noticing. My friend Yoni is 98. She has arthritis. Her hearing isn't what it used to be. But every morning she opens her window and says out loud, "Thank you for another day." And she means it. She's not chasing youth. She's not chasing relevance. She is here. That is freedom. Real freedom is not having everything. It is not needing everything. It is being able to sit in a quiet room with yourself and not feel restless. You think once you fix your life, you'll feel safe. But safety doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from self-acceptance. I spent decades thinking if I could just become enough, I would finally relax. But you don't become enough. You decide you are. That decision changed my life at 89 years old. Imagine that. 89. Most people think growth belongs to the young. Clarity belongs to the honest. I stopped trying to impress. I stopped trying to compete. I stopped telling myself I would enjoy life after. And I started enjoying ordinary days, sunlight through curtains, warm tea in the afternoon, the sound of birds arguing outside my window, the laugh of my great-grandson, the feeling of my own breath moving in and out. That is life, not the applause, not the milestones. This right now, you are not behind. You are not late.
Stop saying when I'm more successful, you already have enough to begin. Stop saying when I feel worthy, you are worthy. You don't need to become more impressive. You need to become more present. Time is moving, and I would rather you wake up at 40 than wake up 102.